Hello, thank you for joining us for the virtual open house and live Q&A session for the I-90 Bridges West of Alberton project. I'm going to give it a minute or two here while we make sure some folks have a little bit of time to come in, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the presentation. So I'm just going to give it one more minute here before we start. All right, looks like we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Brandon Coates. I'm with RBCI. I'm doing public involvement on this project. You are attending the I-90 Bridges West of Alberton virtual open house. During this online session, MDT and the project team members are going to provide an overview of the project, talk about the proposed improvements. A live Q&A session will be held immediately following the presentation to answer your questions. In order to participate in that Q&A session, I want you to locate the Q&A button that should be at the bottom of your screen. And if you click on that, it'll pop open a box and allow you to type in and submit questions. And you can submit those at any time during the presentation. We are going to hold all the questions and then answer them after the presentation portion. So this online session will be recorded, and a copy of the recording is going to be posted on the project website. I'd like you to invite your neighbors, coworkers, or friends that couldn't attend to view the presentation. They can visit the project website and find that link. Should be up there next week. The website address will be shown at the end of the presentation as well. Or they can join us tomorrow, July 25th, at the Alberton School Cafeteria for an in-person open house. You're welcome to drop by anytime between 4:30 and 6:30 to view these same displays that you're going to see here tonight, and then talk with project team members. And now I'm going to turn over the microphone to the MDT Missoula District Administrator, Bob Vosen.
Thanks, Brandon, and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. As Brandon said, my name's Bob Vosen. I'm the district administrator for the western portion of Montana, including the area around Missoula and Kalispell. So I want to take a moment and we'll introduce the team members that are going to be speaking to everyone here shortly. First of all, just a real quick overview of MDT and our mission. Our mission is to serve the public by providing transportation system services that emphasize quality, safety, cost effectiveness, economic vitality, and sensitivity to the environment. MDT maintains the staff with resources and technical expertise to perform the workload for the majority of our transportation projects. However, there are times when we don't have the resources or the technical expertise in-house, so MDT hires consultants for specific project work. This project is one of those projects where we have an excellent team made up of both internal MDT staff and consultants. So consultants are essentially an extension of our MDT staff, and they're capable of providing additional skills, experience, expertise, and quality of work without increasing our in-house staff on a permanent basis. They're managed by MDT staff members, and our consultant design engineer on this project will introduce himself shortly. And we work together with MDT project team and management to deliver the project. So I want to take a minute now and allow each of our team members to introduce themselves again. As I said, my name is Bob Vosen, and we will boy, I just lost my screen. That is spectacular. So winging it, I am going to turn the presentation over at this point to Marla and let her introduce herself while I try to find my screen again.
Okay, thanks, Bob. I can see you still. I'm Marla Stremka, MDT's consultant design, project engineer, responsible for project management and coordination with MDT's project team and our design consultant, Morrison Merrily. So, Jim, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks. My name is Jim Scholes. I work for Morrison Merrily, a design consultant. I'm a bridge engineer and as well the project manager. I will turn it over to Phil.
Thank you, Jim. My name is Phil Forbes, and I'm a senior transportation engineer for Morrison Merrily, and I work closely with Jim. And I'll turn it back over to Brandon.
Yeah, hello again. I'm Brandon Coates. I'm the public involvement manager with RBCI. Our role in the project is to provide communication with the public and get the materials out and information that the public can weigh in on and be a part of the project. And I'm the first line of communication generally. And then I get that information to the engineers and MDT and get answers back to the public. So, and then I'll turn it over to Tyler Manning from RBCI as well.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I'll be helping with the question and answer portion. So just type your questions into the Q&A panel located at the bottom of the screen, and we will get to those at the end of the presentation. Who hasn't introduced himself? Phil? Jim?
I think we're both good, Tyler. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
One last one. I'm MDT. I'm Joel Boucher with MDT, pre-construction engineer for the Missoula district.
Okay, now we're going to switch over to bridge management process and turn it over to Marla.
All right, thanks. I'm going to talk about the bridge management process, and the MDT Bridge Bureau is tasked with keeping Montana bridges safe, resilient, economical, and reliable. The Bridge Bureau is organized into two sections, Bridge Management section and the Bridge Design section. The Bridge Management section is responsible for regular condition inspections and load rating evaluations for over 4,500 public bridges in the state. The Bridge Management section also evaluates and analyzes overweight permit loads and performs bridge maintenance on state-owned bridges. MDT's Bridge Design section provides design and engineering management on bridge replacement, rehabilitation, and preservation projects. The Bridge Design section also establishes and maintains structural design criteria and standards, participates in research projects, and promotes design initiatives to improve bridge performance and value. MDT is improving 3 bridges in the westbound lanes of Interstate I-90 west of Alberton in Mineral County. The bridges carry I-90 over Old Highway 10 and Elizabeth Lane, approximately 10 miles west of Alberton. The Clark Fork River near Alberton Gorge, which is about 9 miles west of Alberton, and the Clark Fork River near Sear, approximately 5 miles west of Alberton. These bridges were first constructed in the 1960s and are routinely inspected by the MDT Bridge Bureau. MDT has performed maintenance and repairs on the bridges, but no major improvements have been made since they were built. MDT has partnered with Morrison Merrily to identify and design the needed improvements. I'm going to turn it over to Jim Scholes from Morrison Merrily to give more specifics about the planned improvements.
Thank you, Marla. Morrison Merrily was tasked with evaluating and developing improvements for these 3 westbound I-90 bridges shown on the map that will be functional, low maintenance, and are appropriate for each location. Some of the things we considered in the designs include ensuring continued safe operation of the bridges, developing cost-effective improvements, matching the interstate configuration with 2 through lanes. The team began evaluating the bridges in 2020. This included gathering and analyzing data and performing field studies. The information from the evaluations was carefully considered to develop the planned improvements we are presenting today. The project is in the design development process. The next step is to finalize design, which means we will be wrapping up the project plans and preparing for construction. Due to the size and complexity of the two bridges over the Clark Fork River, we anticipate only one bridge being replaced at a time. The first bridge to be replaced will be the Alberton Gorge Bridge, with construction currently planned to be completed in one season. The bridge near Sear interchange is anticipated to be replaced the following construction season. The current schedule suggests that the earliest construction could occur is in late 2025. However, this will be scheduled once the design plans are finalized and is dependent on the funding availability. I'm now going to talk about the improvements recommended for each structure. At the westbound Old Highway 10 Elizabeth Lane Bridge, we studied various replacement and rehabilitation options. The rehabilitation of the structure was chosen as the cost-effective means to extend the service life of the structure. The expected work at this site includes cleaning and painting the girders on the two steel spans directly above Elizabeth Lane. No changes to the width of I-90 on this structure will be made. The project is expected to extend the useful life of this structure for more than 25 years. The Clark Fork River Bridge site is very challenging, and numerous considerations and options were studied. A few of the challenges include very difficult access to the river, difficult structural removal, and girder erection, with very steep slopes down to the river under the bridge. The bridges studied include steel and concrete superstructures in 3 and 5 span configurations. After considering multiple rehabilitation and replacement options, a new structure was selected as the most appropriate option for this site. The preferred bridge is a 3-span steel structure with a main span that is 125 foot longer compared to the existing bridge. The extra span length will allow the new foundations to be located further apart, upland, and outside of the river. The anticipated foundations are drilled shafts at the piers and driven steel piling at the abutments. The interstate in this general area includes 2 12-foot travel lanes, a 4-foot inside shoulder, and a 10-foot outside shoulder, which provides a relatively safe area to pull over when necessary. The existing bridge was built with 2 travel lanes. The existing bridge was built with 2 travel lanes, but only 2-foot shoulders on both sides. Along with no room for breakdown vehicles, snow plowing is more challenging with the narrow shoulders and solid bridge area. The new bridge deck will now include travel lanes and shoulders the same width as the interstate. The Clark Fork River Bridge near Sear is also a very difficult site with similar challenges to the previous structure, and the same considerations and options were studied. Bridges studied included steel and concrete superstructures in 4 and 5 span configurations. After considering multiple rehabilitation and replacement options, a new structure was selected as the most appropriate option for this site and structure. The preferred structure is a 4-span steel structure with a main span 75 foot longer compared to the existing structure. The additional length of the main span centered over the river will place the pier foundations closer to the river banks than they are today. The anticipated foundations are drilled shafts at the piers and driven steel piling at the abutments. With the new layout of the spans and careful selection of available beams, the vertical clearance under the bridge for vehicles using the eastbound on-ramp at this interchange will be increased slightly with the new structure. Like the new bridge at Cabinet Alberton Gorge, this structure will have travel lanes and shoulder widths to match the interstate in this general area. This will eliminate the transitions in width on both ends of the new bridge approaches. Now I'm going to turn it over to Phil to talk about the anticipated traffic control.
Thank you, Jim. The greatest impact on the traveling public will be for drivers on I-90. As each existing westbound bridge is removed and a new bridge constructed, all I-90 traffic will be placed on the eastbound lanes using traffic crossovers. To the greatest extent possible, MDT plans to continue to provide access at all existing interchanges within the project area. I'll go into more detail in a few minutes. Because some of the work of bridge demolition and new bridge construction will be directly overhead at Sawmill Gulch Road and to a lesser extent at Elizabeth Lane, local traffic should expect infrequent, short-term closures of these roads as a means of assuring the public's safety. The very same issues apply to recreationists on the Clark Fork River. Measures will be taken to safely direct river traffic through the overhead construction zone for much of the time. However, there may be times when short-term closure of the river is the only way to protect the public. As I indicated earlier, because the new bridges will be placed in the same locations as the existing bridges, there will be an extended period when the westbound lanes of I-90 will not be open to traffic. To keep all traffic moving safely, two-way traffic will be placed on the eastbound lanes through use of traffic crossovers. For the work at the Alberton Gorge Bridge, recently constructed crossovers at the Fish Creek interchange will transition westbound traffic onto the eastbound lanes. Two-way traffic at reduced speeds will be experienced until reaching an existing crossover approximately 1 mile east of the Tarkio interchange. This crossover will return the interstate to normal operations. I'd like to point out two additional features. First, a temporary off-ramp for westbound traffic at exit 65, the Crystal Springs exit, is planned to maintain access like it is today. There will be a short time when the exit will be closed to traffic while the temporary ramp is constructed. The second feature is that the ramps at the Fish Creek interchange will be fully functional, as we saw earlier this year while repairs were completed on the westbound bridge. For the work at the Sear Bridge, which is currently planned to follow completion of the Alberton Gorge structure, some of the median barrier east of the interchange will be temporarily removed to provide an opening to cross westbound traffic over to the eastbound lanes. Again, two-way traffic at reduced speeds will be experienced until reaching a new crossover constructed approximately 1/2 mile west of the Sear Bridge. This crossover will return the interstate to normal operations. The half interchange at Sear will remain open for access during construction, much like Sawmill Gulch Road, because some of the work of bridge demolition and new bridge construction will be directly overhead. Users of the eastbound on-ramp at Sear should expect infrequent short-term closures of the on-ramp as a means of assuring the public's safety. As with any Federal Highway Administration funded project, MDT needs to ensure the project is compliant with the National Environmental Policy Act, often referred to as NEPA, and its Montana companion, MEPA. Using the NEPA-MEPA process, agencies like MDT evaluate the environmental and related social and economic effects of their proposed actions. The agencies also provide opportunities for public review and comment on those evaluations and their findings. These bridges are being reviewed under NEPA. This review includes a few other important federal acts. They include the Endangered Species Act for the handful of listed species near the project area, and the Migratory Bird Treaty Act for nesting areas on the underside of these bridges. Additionally, other areas of consideration include wildlife crossings of the interstate and recreational river activities. For this project, MDT had Morrison Merrily conduct site investigations of the bridges to look for potential environmental concerns and document the environmental baseline for each site. Our analyses showed that the project should include specifications necessary to protect the environment. One example is limiting the duration of activities like pile driving that could potentially harm bull trout. Another would require safe removal and disposal of the existing bridge materials. I'll now turn it over to Brandon to talk about the next steps.
Thank you, Phil. Before I discuss the next steps, I just want to remind you about the Q&A button that's at the bottom of your screen. And if you have any questions, you can type them in at any time. We're going to be wrapping up the presentation portion here shortly. So to talk about the next steps, as we discussed earlier in the presentation, we're currently in the final design phase of the project. And then following these public meetings, the project team will begin finalizing the plans and preparing for construction. Once the plans are finalized and funding has been allocated, the project will be let out to contractors for bidding. Construction on these bridges will be announced once the funding and bidding process is complete. Again, the current schedule suggests that the earliest construction could occur is in late 2025. And with that, I would like to thank you for participating in today's meeting and the development of this project. Again, reminding you that the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen is available for you to submit any comments or questions that you have. Again, I'm the initial point of contact on this project. And if you have any comments or questions at any time, please feel free to contact me. My contact information is on the screen there. And then if you've visited the project website, you'll find my contact information there as well. As this project transitions into construction, MDT is planning to use a variety of methods to communicate with the public during construction, including updates on the project website, using the news media and social media. So please visit that project website and get the most up-to-date information. We're now going to begin the Q&A session. So we'll give it a few minutes as questions come in, and then I'll turn it over to Tyler to see if we have any questions so far from the group. Tyler?
Hey, Brandon, thanks. Yeah, we do have two questions. The first question is from Jacob Hines. He asked, has an engineer's estimate been performed? If so, what is the anticipated total cost? Who can answer that?
This is Jim Scholes. At this point in time, we have not completed final design, so do not have an accurate engineering estimate. However, we do believe the project's in excess of 25 million for each project, and I'll describe that a little bit more. The two bridges are going to be split into two separate projects, each of them with an estimate of in excess of 25 million.
Thanks, Jim. Jacob, hopefully that answered your question. If not, please feel free to ask for clarification. We also had a question from Pamela Reed. She asked, is there going to be an update on the Little Sear Bridge that is in progress? Who can answer that question?
I can answer that question, Tyler. Pam, you're talking about the bridge on the old Highway 10 that's being updated. Currently, the bridge deck is still being worked on. They've removed the railings and they're going to get ready to put up new railing. We do have an email update that should go out probably on Friday with more information. So if you want to email me, I can make sure and put you on the list to receive those emails. But construction is anticipated to be completed in late October. And that's probably about the time that the bridge will be reopened to traffic. So currently, floating and boating is still permitted underneath the bridge, but no pedestrian, bicycle, or vehicle traffic over the bridge at this time.
Thanks, Brandon. Pam, hopefully that answered your question. If not, feel free to ask for any clarification in the comments. Pam said thank you. Jacob had another question. He asked, is it possible the bridges would be bundled as one project? Jim, do you know that?
At this point in time, no, unless there's compelling reasons that we're unaware of. Right now, we're targeting the Clark Fork project to be the first of the two, and hopefully, pending available funding, be ready to bid late next year.
Thank you, Jim. Hopefully that answered your question, Jacob. If not, feel free to ask for more clarification. And I'll just give it a minute in case we have any more questions come in.
And Tyler, I'd like to jump in again too. Jacob and Pamela, if you have any other questions after this, just shoot me an email and I'll get those answered and get those back to you as soon as we can. So,
Jacob said thank you.
great. Unless we have any other questions, I think that's going to conclude our presentation for the evening. Again, this is going to be posted online next week. And we will be hosting the in-person public meeting tomorrow afternoon from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Alberton School cafeteria. So thank you all for joining us and have a good evening.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep,
Have a good evening.
thanks. Have a good evening.
Thanks, guys.